Hello everybody, you are watching my channel Programming in C with RSK and I am Rajendra Kulkarni. In this video we are going to see how 2D arrays can be passed to the function and how the functions return 2D arrays. So let us start our today's video. First we will go for a recap of the 2D array. In my earlier video I have explained the 2D arrays. We are just making a recap here. How it is declared? It is declared as int arr and two subscripts. First subscript and which is 3 here, second subscript which is 5 here. A 2D array is an array of 3 one-dimensional arrays. Here we can see the first subscript 3. It tells the compiler that the array arr will have 3 1D arrays as its elements, and the second subscript tells us that the 1D array, each 1D array will be of 5 elements. So 2D array is an array of arrays. How they are stored in the memory? The 2D arrays are stored, all the elements of the 2D array are stored in the memory in contiguous memory locations. Here in this we have declared an array arr with subscript 3 and 5. If the values are assigned at the declaration, we can skip first dimension, but the second dimension, which is in the second subscript, it is always mandatory. If array is declared but not assigned, both dimensions are mandatory. We can visualize a 2D array as a table. First dimension indicates number of rows in the table and second dimension indicates number of fields in the table. In this slide we are going to see how 2D arrays can be passed to a function. In this slide we will see how the values are passed element by element. So it is called passing by value. In this program we are going to obtain sine, cosine and tan values of the angle in degrees. We will be passing to the functions which give us these three values, sine, cos and tan of the angles in degrees. We have declared two macros here, had defined dim6 and had defined rad. So dim will be replaced by value 6 wherever it appears in the program, and rad will be declared by a value calculated by m underscore pi divided by 180, where m underscore pi is a constant of pi value declared in the file math.h, which we have included in our program. Since we are sending values, we are passing values of angles in degrees, and the sine, cosine and tan functions which are defined in math.h file calculate the values when the angles are in radians. By using this rad macro, we will be converting the angles in degrees to angles in radians, equivalent radians. We have declared a function which returns a float value, and to this function we are going to send two parameters, int and char. There are declarations char ch, float x, int I, and a array 2D array xx named xx, in which we have initialized the array with values of angles in degrees 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. This is the 0th element of the 2D array xx, and this is 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 85. It is the element number 1 of the 2D array xx. In this for loop, what we are going to do is send the values or pass the value of array xx 0th element one by one. So by this for loop, by calling the function x is equal to fun into bracket xx subscript 0 and subscript I. So when I is 0, xx 0 0 value will be passed to the function fun. Similarly, when I goes on incrementing, the next values will be passed to the function, and since we have to pass 6 values for these 6 angles expressed in degrees, we run this loop for I is equal to 0, I less than 6, I plus plus. This S we are sending as a character, we are passing it as a character to the function fun. This S stands for sine. We want the values of sine of these angles to be returned by the function, and this printf statement displays the values received from the function, which is this x float x collects the value every time it is returned by the function and displays it through this printf statement, passing value of 0th element in every iteration of for loop, 0th element of the 2D array, which is a 1D array initialized with the values 15 to 90. So in every iteration, one value will be passed. The sign of that value, that angle, will be calculated by the function sign available in the mat.h file, and that value will be collected when it will be returned by the function. It will be collected in x and displayed by this printf statement. Similarly, in this for loop, we are passing the values of the 0th element of the 2D array from 15 to 90, and we are using this C sign or C character for getting the values of cosine. So in every iteration of the for loop, one of the value represented by the element number given by 0 and I will be passed. Its cost will be calculated and it will be returned, collected by x, and then displayed by this printf statement. What we are doing here in these two loops is we are sending in both the loops 0th element of the 2D array, which is the 1D array 15 having values 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and 90. So the same 0th element of the 2D array we are passing for getting sine and cosine of the angles. In the third for loop, what we are doing is we are passing the value of elements of first 1D array or first element of the 2D array, which is a 1D array having values 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and 85 to the function fun. Fun will calculate the tan in this case, because we are sending t as a character which will be used by the function, and it will calculate the values of tan and will be returned to our function assigned to x and displayed by this printf statement. So in this loop, in the third for loop, we will be passing the values of element number 1 of the 2D array, which is a 1D array consisting of values 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and 85. The tan of these values will be returned by the function, collected by x and displayed in by this printf statement. Now how this function works? When the character S, C or T is passed by the call, it will be collected in the char variable C declared here as a argument of the function fun, formal argument. If C is equal to S, when we pass S as one of the characters, this loop of this if statement will be executed, because C is equal to S. Then ZZ is a float variable declared in our function fun. It will be assigned with sign of the value that has been received by A, variable A of the function. It will be multiplied by rad, so it will be converted into radians, and sign of that angle will be assigned to the value ZZ, and that ZZ will be returned to the calling function collected by float variable x and displayed. Similarly, when we pass in the second for loop character C, this if will become true, and ZZ of this if will be assigned with cosine of the angle A, angles in degrees received in variable A of the function. It will be converted by multiplying it by value by RAD. Assigned the cosine value will be assigned to ZZ, variable ZZ, and that variable ZZ will be returned. Similarly, for tan, when we call the function with T as one of the characters which we will be passing to the function, C is equal to T will be true. This if will execute, will calculate the tan, display it, assign it to ZZ, and that ZZ we are returning back to the calling function where it will be displayed by this printf statement. So in this way, what we are doing is we are passing the values of a 2D array one by one to the function and getting the desired outputs from the function. So when the function is called, the function fun is called in every iteration of the for loop. So for sine there will be 6 iterations of this for loop. For getting cosine there will be again 6 iterations, or for tan there will be 6 iterations. So total 18 times this function will be called, and accordingly the function will be returning the desired values that will be available through by using a sine, cosine and tan built-in functions which are declared in the file mat.h. So in this way what we are doing is we are passing 2D array values to the function, and this mechanism of passing the values is called pass by value. Output, we can see sine, cosine and tan are being displayed by when I ran this program, and this is the screenshot of the output screen which I got after running this program. We can also pass by reference the values to the function. In this program, passing 2D array to functions by reference, how it is done we will see. We will be calculating the sum of the 0th element and product of the element number 1 of the 2D array, and the functions will be returning the sum and products as required. A function is declared float fun into the bracket float star char. So this float star stands for passing a pointer to the 2D array. Char will send whether we want a sum or the product of the elements of the array which we are passing. We have declared a XX as a float 2D array having two 1D array, that's its elements, and 3 elements are there in every 1D array. Now here what we are doing is we are calling the function x is equal to fun and sending the address of the 0th element of the 2D array, and that address is being passed to the function along with a character s. This s stands for sum. The function will return the sum of the values passed to it, and x will collect the returned value and it will be displayed by this printf statement. Similarly, in the second call to the function, we are sending the address of the element number 1 of the 2D array XX, and we are sending character p which stands for product. So the function will calculate the product of all the elements of 1D array which is a element number 1 of the 2D array, and that product will be collected by x and displayed by this printf statement. So the function we have written float fun into the bracket float star a. So a will a will be assigned with the address which will be passed from the function fun. In the first call it will be the address of the 0th element of the 2D array, which is 0th element of the 2D array means this 1D array consisting of values 1.1, 2.2, 3.3. If this if statement, test the value contained in character ch. If it is s, if the ch contains s, this if statement is true, this expression of the if is true, and this f will be executed. In this if, what we are doing is, we are declared a float variable xx. To this xx, we are adding the values which are pointed to by the pointer a. This for loop will advance the pointer till we reach the value 2, which is the value of dim, macro dim. So xx on execution of this loop will contain the value of summation of the 3 elements of the element number 0 of a 2D array xx, and that value will be returned collected by x, variable x in the main, and it will be displayed by this printf statement. In the second call to the function fun, what we are doing is, we are passing the base address of the element number 1 of the 2D array xx, which contains the values of 4.4, 5.5 and 6.6. This address of 4.4 will be passed to the function, and this for loop will be executed when the ch is equal to p. This test or this expression is true. So this if block will be executed, in which there is a for loop. We have declared xx as a float variable. So we are getting the product of all the elements of this 1D array, which is the element of first element or element number 1 of the 2D array, and that value is returned through this return xx statement, will be collected in the variable x in the main, and its value will be displayed by this printf statement. We can see that through this value at operator or indirection operator star, we are taking out the values contained in the addresses evaluated by this expression a plus I. In the first for if loop, if block, when ch is equal to s, a will contain the 0th address of the 0th element of the element number 0 of 2D array xx. So in short, a will contain the address of 1.1, which is the value assigned to 0th element of the 2D array. With every advancement of incrementation of I, we get new value which gets added into x, xx, and finally we get the summation of all the elements of the array number 0 of the 2D array xx. Similarly, in this if block, we get the product. This is the screenshot of the program output of the output screen of the program when I ran it. Sum of the elements of 0th element of the first 2D array, which is a summation of 3 values of the 1D array, which is the 0th element of the 2D array, which becomes 6.6, and through this printf we are getting the value returned by the function fun when we select, when we send, or when we use p character for getting the product. We have seen two programs which demonstrate the passing of values of 2D array to the function. In the first program we pass the value. In the second program we pass the pointer. Now how function returns a 2D array, that we will see in this program. In this program what we are doing is we are creating a 2D array in the function by passing the 2D array from the main. In the function, whatever value, whatever address it receives from the 2D array passed from the function, each element of that array will be multiplied by 10, will be assigned to another 2D array in the function, and that 2D array of the function will be returned by reference to the calling function. So since an array is returned by returning its address, base address, we have declared the function with a pointer int star as a return type, and to this function fun we will be passing a pointer of type int, which we will be using for passing the address of the base elements of the 2D array from main. So what this fun does, it returns the pointer to the array. Now we have initialized an array int arr with 5 with 10 values, 1 2 3 4 to 10, and this array will contain two 1D arrays each having 5 elements. So in what we have done is we have declared an int array subscript, first subscript 2, another subscript is 5. Then we have declared an int pointer, and we have called the function ptr is equal to fun into the bracket and arr subscript to subscript 00. What this does is it passes the address of the 0th element of the 2D array, and when the function returns a pointer, we are going to display the values of the 2D array returned by the function by using its pointer ptr. So this is the declaration and definition of the function int star fun int star xx. So xx is the pointer which will be collecting the address passed from the call of this function, which will be the address of 0th element of the 2D array, which is containing the value 1, arr 00 and arr 00 is the address of the 0th element of the array ARR, which is pointing to value 1. In the function we have declared another int array ARR, which we have declared as static, so that array ARR will not die when the function is exited. In this nested for loop, what we are doing is we are multiplying the values contained in the pointer XX by this indirection operator star XX multiplied by 10, and then we are incrementing the value of XX, which is containing the addresses of the elements of ARR of the main, array ARR of the main. And then what we are doing is we are returning the address of this static int ARR array, which is in the function, which we have declared in the function and initialized it with the values which will be star XX into 10. The star XX contains first, in the first iteration when I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0, XX will contain the address of the 0th element of the array ARR of the main, which will be 1. As XX increments, it starts pointing to the various the other elements of the array ARR of the main. Each value will be multiplied by 10 and assigned to the static int ARR value, which we have declared in the function. And when the for loops, both the for loops terminate, what the ARR array of the function will be having is the value of the elements passed to it and multiplied by 10. So the array returned by function, this is the screenshot. It will be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These 10 values of the ARR of the main will be multiplied by 10, each of these value, and will be assigned to another array declared in the function as static int ARR, and that array's address is returned to the function, calling function, collected by the pointer PTR and displayed by this for loop. And the screenshot of the output of the program is here, array returned by fun. So in this way the function returns a 2D array. So array ARR as a static int array declared in the function. The same array ARR, 2D array ARR, is initialized in the function and its address is returned by the function. So this is how 2D arrays can be passed to the function and how a function returns the 2D array. I have uploaded more than 35 programs, videos explaining various features of C. Each video I have explained a topic using 3 or 4 programs and also the theory behind the feature of the C. Topics covered are constants and variables, if else, switch, loops, pointers, functions, 1D arrays, 2D arrays, and a few more. Please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel Rajendra Kulkarni 7333. The ID and the address of the channel is given here. You can click on this and go for my channel. I will be uploading a few more videos which will be explaining the preprocessor commands, storage classes, strings, 3D arrays, files, structures, and many more other topics in the programming in C. Thanks for viewing.